Hey gang, Uncle Todd and Sonny here, and decided to get into. Oh, hello. Decided to get into some creature features. Haven't done those in a while. Starting out with Octaman. Now I know what you're thinking. Isn't that something you would consider for summer back when you do all your sea monster movies? You would you would think that. But somebody feels a little snacky. But as this is a sea creature that doesn't seem to spend any time actually in the water, I'm going to do it now. It's got a fairly interesting cast here. Our lead is Kerwin Matthews, who you may remember from some of his Harryhausen films, like Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, where he fought a skeleton in a sword fight. He also did Three Worlds of Gulliver, Jack the Giant Killer, and after this did The Boy Who Cried Werewolf and his final film Nightmare in Blood, which was where he played a vampire who was also a horror movie star. Interesting. We also have Pierre Angeli, who she had more high-end films as opposed to genre films, being in Sodom and Gomorrah, and Battle of the Bulge. She was also in an early Giallo film, In the Folds of the Flesh. So she unfortunately passed away soon after Octaman due to a what they officially called a accidental overdose of barbiturates. In a small role, we have genre great Jeff Morrow, who you might remember from our review of The Giant Claw. Some of his other films include This Island Earth, Creature Walks Among Us, Kronos, and Legacy of Blood. And the other major name here is Jerome Gardino, who was mostly a supporting actor who would pop up on TV shows. Although he did have a recurring role in the 70s as well as the 90s, where he would pop up on Columbo as Columbo's favorite sergeant, Sergeant Burke. Well, also, this is the first monster suit made by... Oh my god, I've forgotten his name. Hold on. Rick Baker, who would go on to make costumes for Schlock and American Werewolf in London. He was originally going to be doing the werewolf effects for The Howling, but then when he got the John Landis job, he gave that over to his assistant, Rob Bottin, who would then go on to do the amazing effects in not only The Howling, but John Carpenter's The Thing. Anyways, we open in Mexico, where our hero... well, actually, we open with a narrator who talks about how important scientists are. And then we get to our hero, Rick, who is a scientist, and he's studying the effects of radioactive contamination in water supplies and things, and how that affects local populations. Very important work. When one of his assistants makes an amazing discovery. My gosh, it's a rubber octopus with weird eyes. What could it mean? Well, supposedly it's got some human characteristics or whatnot. But anyways, Rick and his girlfriend slash fellow scientist, Susanna, immediately pack it up and head back to the big city. They don't say which one, but they got to go back to the Institute. This could be a major discovery. That night, having found another of these weird specimens, the assistants are planning to dissect it when, well, they don't get very far. You know, this plot is looking a little familiar. Let's continue on. Maybe I'm overthinking this. Rick then goes to see his project head, played by Jeff Morrow, and wants him to, finance an expedition for this find.
A mutation of sorts that have all the characteristics of a human cell.
I'll agree that nowadays we can believe almost any theory, beginning from the time that man first crawled out of the sea. But frankly, Rick, I don't see any relevance between this and your current field mission.
Looks like he's not going to get the financing there. Oh, and did you like seeing Jeff Morrow in that scene? Good, because that's the last you're going to see of him in this flick. With nothing that end, he goes looking for an entrepreneur who might be interested in backing this, where he gets a hold of Johnny. But there is a slight complication, as Johnny's assistant Steve points out.
Anytime he bankrolls something, he wants to know what's in it for him.
The satisfaction of knowing he's supporting a worthwhile scientific field trip.
He don't savvy that. It's that man-fish talk that sparked him.
Huh. So let's capture this thing, dead or alive, and put it up for display to bring in the suckers. True entrepreneur. Okay, well, he does need the expedition, so can they come to an agreement?
About it, Johnny.
Stevie? Tell me in.
Thank you, partner.
Okay, agreement reached. So they pack up an RV, and along with Johnny and Stevie, Rick and Susanna head back to the original camp, where they learn from fellow scientist Mort, the one who found the first sample, that someone or something attacked the camp and killed some of the men. This is where they meet their new assistant, Davito, and his friend, who tell them the legend of the Octaman. Okay, so this thing's been around a while, and he don't take kindly to people hanging around his waterways. This is also where DeVito also explains that the lakes have a series that are interconnected underground or somewhat, and it's where he lives. There's all these. So they're going to follow the lakes back to the source of the water, i.e. the ocean, and try and trap this thing. That night, a couple of locals have an untimely end. Bit of gratuitous monster action there, because they had nothing to do with the plot. Later, he comes upon their camp and sees something that rather intrigues him. Octaman has an eye for the ladies, it seems.
Sex.
Let's not get into that. Anyway, later that night, Johnny finds out that getting the Octaman is going to be a little harder than he thought. Luckily, Johnny survives.
Is only mostly dead.
Pretty much. Killing them wasn't really the Octaman's main objective here. It was to grab the sample, another captured baby, and he grabs that up and takes it back to the water. Then he returns to the camper to get his second objective, Susanna, but gets chased off, and because he can't break into the camper. So at this point they decide to go on the offensive, and Rick, Mort, and I think it's the other assistant, Carlo, or is it Steve? Well, one of them, take to a boat to hunt the Octaman down, but he's a little too wily for that.
Hang on, Mort. Take it easy, Mort. Here, hang on.
Smart guy. By the time they've gotten Mort back in and they've got to head back because he's freezing in that cold water and having the tentacle thing wrapped around him, the Octaman tentacles it back to the camper to get his real objective. I can't have that. So Steve and Rick, they track down the Octaman, and then they kind of blind him a little with their flashlights. Can't take that bright light. And then set a fire in a circle around him because...
Keep away from him, Steve. The fire will burn up the oxygen all around him.
I don't know if that'll work or not. What do you guys think? You think that would work? Oh, I guess it would. Hey, what? You can't take that. That was the last straw for her. Oh well. Well, they tag him down with a net, or I should say stake him down with a net, and then we get another argument. Should they bring water up to keep him wet so he doesn't dry out and die, or let him die? Well, Johnny's all for letting him die, but it doesn't matter. Point's mute. Rainstorm comes. Rains all day. So of course, that night...
Keep his attention so I can get to my gun.
I'm not sure if she's coming back or not. Turns out he's not going to need to get his gun. That actually worked. He turned around and ran off. Waddled off. Well, Rick's finally got to admit, okay, they can't continue with the equipment they have. They're going to have to go back and resupply up with more men, weapons, cages, and things. So the next morning they're heading out of the area. Okay, this plot's really getting familiar.
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah. Creature from the Black Lagoon. That's right. I want to check on something. Okay. The writer-director of this flick, Harry Essex, also was one of the writers on Creature from the Black Lagoon. So, that explains that. Well, while they attempt to pull the blockage out of the way of the road so they can get out, DeVito actually is able to track the Octaman. He happens to have a cave he likes to go into. Well, DeVito rushes back to the group and convinces them this is their opportunity to capture him. So they all head into the caves, where we get a lot of shots of them wandering around with flashlights before once again the Octaman proves to be a little bit smarter than they are. Dropped them in a dead-end cave with a little rock fall. And it looks like they're done for. Probably not a lot of air in there. So they'll sit there and talk philosophy of life and death. I mean, there's no way they can get out.
Look, water.
Where that's coming from.
You're not going there.
I have to see where it leads.
A tunnel, of course. Just happened to be a tunnel. Well, DeVito, being the smallest, goes to check it out. It's the outside. What a lucky coincidence. I wonder where it comes out on outside.
Look! We've been going in a circle. We're right back where we started from.
No. I've hit my straw. What do you mean? Fine. It's okay for you to leave, but I have to stay and finish the review. Right back where they started. Well, their new plan is formulated to backtrack to get out the other side. But the wily Octaman was hiding in the camper waiting for them.
Hi, keeper. Hi, keeper.
Whoa. He knocked them all over the place. Hi, Kiba indeed. Anyway, he finally gets his lady love and heads back to the water with her. They quickly regroup and surround him, only for the Octaman to suffer a broken heart as he's betrayed. And with that betrayal over, they fill him with so many bullets you could have sunk a battleship. And he makes that tragic last walk back to the water. Oh, that's so sad. Such a noble creature. What can you really say about this movie? It's a little
And stupid.
Now that's a little harsh.
Kind of goofy.
Yeah, I'll go with that one. He, I don't think this would be so bizarre if they had actually played up how absurd this whole film is. But they play it straight, which somehow makes it a bit funnier than if they hadn't. You know, kind of like how in Ed Wood movies they play everything totally straight, and it is so absurd, and the dialogue is so ridiculous. Here the dialogue's okay. It's just that even though their blueprint is a really well-made film,
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
but that film made sense. It was a scientific expedition. They were looking for fossils of this hand that they had discovered, and inadvertently saw that there was an actual half human, half fish creature. And it was well paced, exciting, amazing costume. Here, it doesn't work because, one, they have no underwater photography because the suit could not be submerged. And that suit, Rick Baker did it his best, but that suit is absurd to see when it's walking around. Too much dust in here, sorry. When it's walking around, it just looks absurd. The close-ups aren't too bad. I like some of the close-ups. But, yeah, this doesn't work on just about any technical level. It's shot okay. The acting, Kira Matthews is so bland and uninteresting here. He seems bored. I mean, when you compare this with his performance in The Boy Who Cried Werewolf, where the anxiety and the fear that he's becoming a danger to his family, it's well played. And of course, Nightmare in Blood, where he's awesome as the vampire, arrogant and condescending. But or you look back at his hero films in the 50s, excellent at. Here, just nothing. Most of the other actors, Johnny, the actor playing Johnny, is the only one that's giving it his all. He's running the gamut from, greedy avarice, superiority because he's a hunter and this is the hunted, fear, and it's just, yeah, he's the most interesting character. The rest, yeah, it's not really a very good, it's not a very fun film, I should say. It kind of drags in a lot of spots, like when they're in the cave and it's just shot after shot after shot of them roaming that cave, and the interludes where they have their philosophical discussions over scientific study as opposed to entrepreneurship. Going for the knowledge or going for the money, and it's like over and over again. And it's just yeah, except for like a few unintentionally funny moments, mostly doing with the costume, and that one really suspenseful scene where he pulls the one guy out of the boat. That was well done. It's just kind of a middling effort. And sad that it is Miss Angeli's last piece of film work. She deserved better. Well, please hit like, share, and subscribe. and stay after the credits for my favorite scene.
Same way we got in, we'll get out.